Brahma Gururvishnu Gurudevo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, we are in Amrutanubhava, chapter 7, verse number 217, and here oft repeated statement is again told, excuse me, that the self is self-ascertained, self-existent, and when it is said that it is self-ascertained, self-knowing, self-existing, then is there any other means by which it can be revealed? No. Is there any other authority other than the self which can prove the existence of the self? No. Can one say that the rope cannot be seen because there is no snake? That is wrong. Self does not require any sanction from anyone else. Neither the scriptures, neither any other means. Why? It is all that there is. Therefore, even without being a seer, the Atma exists. What is the need for this Atma to be a seer of the self? Even without being a seer, because when we, at the relative level, this Atma appears as the seer, as the knower, as the experiencer, etc., 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 whether these various airs appear or don't appear, the self is not affected by it. That is what is told. Now, same thought. But suppose it is still argued, why should one insist on negating the Triputi, that is the triad? After all, it is because of the Triputi alone one is able to arrive at the substratum. What is wrong in this approach? You very clearly understand one thing, and that is, what does negation mean here? Negation only means not giving importance and value to the thought. Thought can appear only because this triad is there. Seer, seen, seeing, hearer, heard, hearing, knower, known, knowing. Only then the thought appears. And here it is being told, don't give importance to these triads. So the student is saying that without the triads, how will I come to know the truth? Because I am thinking, therefore I am coming to know. Because I am thinking, therefore I am able to wean away from the world, do my contemplation exercises, do my meditation, contemplation. Say, he says, I need this. Without this, how will I come to know myself? The teacher is saying, the self is self-existent. See, you are falling again into the wrong trap that thinking is required to know the self. Okay, towards that, this next verse is taken, OV is taken. Na nama gute davile tari punaruktate chi dhale yene hi bole gele davane vrutha. Even if the seer is proved on the basis of the seen repeatedly, the outcome is that the already existing self is reaffirmed. Therefore, this effort has indeed gone waste. If you say that after the snake has been spotted, the rope is seen, it is only thereafter it is discovered that the rope is the reality. In the same way, unless there is the world, unless there is Triputi, the substratum cannot be appreciated. Such a statement is meaningless. The claim that the self existing Atman is revealed by the subject object relationship is of no value. Whether the rope is seen as a rope or as a snake, the rope exists in spite of the appearance of the snake on it. So, whether the wave knows the water or does not know the water, whether the water appears as a wave, but the water, you, the wave comes to know the water by discarding its form. But whether it discards the form or it doesn't discard the form, it is always water. Right or not? Exactly the same way. Whether we discard the body, we discard the thoughts, the triads, we are always there. Because everything is existing within the self only. There is no distance for a wave to traverse in order to become water. There is no distance for this individual to cover in order to become the self. Why? It already is. See? So whether the rope is seen as a rope or as a snake, the rope exists in spite of the appearance of the snake on it. Whether the waker contemplates and comes to know the reality, whether the dreamer is there or not there, whether the deep sleeper is there or not there, you always are. Just because we are in the waking state right now and so much importance is being given to this waker waking experience and the world, waking world. And we are doing the sadhana in the waking world. We are studying the scripture in the waking experience. And you make the journey which is immediate. Meaning it's no journey at all. When you say the journey is immediate, there is no journey at all. You are already the self. But in the waking we believe, we imagine, we have a notion that, oh, I must transcend the waking experience. And that waking experience is because I got a mind and I have to go beyond the mind. And the mind is nothing but thoughts, and the thoughts are nothing but triads, and triads are because of ignorance. And I have to go beyond all this. Whether you go through this process and reach that destination called the self, or you just accept and let the triads be, who cares? Isn't it? These are things to be contemplated upon. See? It makes sense when you are listening. This Jnaneshwar Maharaj tries to erase once and for all this exaggerated value given to the Triputi. It is useless effort to eliminate Triputi step by step. First the world is mithya, then the experiencer the waker, and when all the roadblocks are overcome, the waker becomes Paramatma. The wave does not become the ocean, it is the ocean. So also the waker is Paramatma. It is Vyartha, a waste to talk in forms of, in terms of becoming Paramatma after inquiry, meditation, etc. There's nowhere. That is what every master keeps saying. There is nowhere to reach. There's nowhere to reach. Even right now, while you are listening, while you are talking, you are. If you give too much importance to the listening and talking, then you become the talker, you become the listener. Can this listener stop? No. Can this talker stop? No. But you know talking is going on, and you know listening is going on. How do you know listening is going on? Because while you are listening, many times there is no listening. You listen to one thought, one word, then there is no listening happening. Then you listen to one word, then again there is no word, isn't it? So you know you are illuminating both. But this is still one step lower, because from that you are coming to yourself. Accept, just be, that everything is my vibhuti, everything is my expression alone. There is nothing outside me. These thoughts are not outside me, this body is not outside me, this world is not outside me. Everything is me alone, just like in the dream. Just like in the dream. This is explained, this what we just now read and understood is explained in terms of a snake and the rope example, or rope and the snake example. दोरा सर्पा भासा साचपणे दोर का जैसा द्रष्टा दृश्या तैसा द्रष्टा साचू. In the rope and the illusory snake, the reality is the rope. Similarly, in the seer and seen, the reality is the seer, who is essentially the witnessing self. The seer itself is the witnessing self. This we have to accept, rather than thinking that I am only a seer, oh my God, now I am going to be a hearer. Now then who am I really? Idiot, you don't know who you are. You are who you are. Here the teacher is saying this seer itself is the witnessing self, but taking himself to be the seer. For both the rope and the superimposition of the snake on the rope, the reality is the rope. For the seen, the drashya padartha, the reality is the pure consciousness. For the seen, the drashya padartha, the objects of the world, for everything that is inert, for it, reality is the pure consciousness. So thoughts are inert, for them reality is the pure consciousness. Isn't it? And therefore they seek this pure consciousness. For the seer, the drashta also, the reality is the same Atma Tattva alone. So just like the seen, the objects of the world, they cannot exist without the seer. Seer is the intelligent principle, the seen is the inert principle, is the inert thing, isn't it? Seen cannot be seen without the seer. If the seer is not there, seen also does not exist. Right? So just like that, the seer also cannot exist without the self. Just like objects of the world cannot exist without the seer, Similarly, the seer also cannot exist without the self, the Atma. This is what is being told. And what does it mean that it cannot exist without the Atma? Just like wave cannot exist without water. Is water other than wave? No, it is inherent within the wave, as the wave, isn't it? Similarly, this seer, inherent within the seer, is the witnessing self or the Atma, and that you are. In this context, the term drashta has to be understood in two ways. One, with reference to the Triputi, the drashta, that is the seer, is in the relative position of the knower of the object, the known. This drashta is in reality the absolute. And secondly, the same drashta is the one who is self-effulgent and therefore resplendent of the Triputi. Its presence as well as absence at the same time. Thus, for both the worldly objects that are seer and the seen of the object, I, the Supreme Self, is the reality. We saw that in Upadesh Sahasri and other places, that the pure consciousness, when it reflects in the mind, it dichomatizes. It breaks up into what? Into two, the seer and the seen. This we saw in Drigdrishya Vivek also, seer-seen inquiry. So the man dichomatizes. How? He becomes the husband, he becomes the father, he becomes the son. Person is one, but he becomes so many. Similarly, the pure consciousness, or take example, you stand in front of the mirror, immediately there is two of you, one outside the mirror, one inside the mirror. You are the seer and the reflection is the seen. If the reflection is not there, then what will happen?
Nothing.
You still are. You still are. And when you are by yourself, then you don't see your face, but you know you are. But when you are in front of the mirror, then all drama begins in front of the mirror. Exactly the same way. This pure consciousness, when it is as if in front of the mirror of the mind, it becomes the seer and the seen. The seer is essentially the self. Just like the reflect. If I am standing in front of the mirror, I am the seer and the reflected is the seen. But this seer who was born because of the seen, but actually if that seen is not there, it is still the self, isn't it? Exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. How beautiful. For the eternal seer, the seeing is without seeing. The hearing is without hearing. The truth is other than known and the unknown. Meaning what? You don't see your face, but you know you have a face. Isn't it? You see the meaning behind it. You don't see your face. Suppose you have never seen a mirror. Then will you say, I have a face? Yes. That I have eyes? Yes. So seer, even if the seen is not there, the seer no sees. Even if the words are not there, the ears hear because the capacity is there. And that is what is told, that the seer, the seeing is, for the eternal seer, the seeing is without seeing, the hearing is without hearing, the truth is other than the known and the unknown, whether there is an object to be perceived or there is absence of that object to be perceived, the truth continues to be. This supreme I remains immutable, whether it manifests as the seen or not. Darpane ani mukhe mukhadise he na chuke parimukhi mukha satuke darpani nahi. It is true that the reflection is seen in the mirror, but the face that is reflected is the real one and not the reflection of the face. This is very strange. Mysterious. What? I just took the example and the same example is coming again. I just took the example of the mirror. The same example is being taken now. I didn't even know what the next verse was. But see, that is how the natural progression of the thought. It is true that the reflection of the face is seen in the mirror, but that does not mean that anything has happened to the face. Furthermore, the reflection is fully dependent on the face. Even without being reflected, the face continues to be, because it is the reality, not the reflection. I have explained already this part. In the same way, whether I expresses as the seer with reference to the seen, whether there is a waking plane of consciousness or dream plane, nothing is added to me, the supreme substratum. So whether the reflection of the face is there in the mirror or not there, I continue to be. Similarly, if this self that I, not if, this self that I am, if it expresses as waker with respect to the waking world, it becomes the dreamer with respect to the dream world, or it experiences the absence of both of them, nothing happens to it. It still continues to be that. And that you are. And that you are. But what is happening? We are giving too much, overvaluing the waker due to the waking experience. We are overvaluing the waker, and the waker is there only because of the waking world. So too overdue importance is given to the waking world, and thus we are caught up as the waker and the waking world. We don't give that importance to the dream world. Otherwise we would never come out of the dream. See? In the same way, whether I expresses as the seer with reference to the seen, whether there is a waking plane of consciousness or dream plane, nothing is added to me, the supreme substratum. The absence of everything in the deep sleep state of consciousness does not subtract anything from the supreme I. Thus, the supreme I is independent of manifestation. What is the manifestation? Manifestation is this supreme I manifests as the seer and the seen. This supreme I manifests as the knower and the known, experiencer and the experienced. In other words, example, the water is independent of the appearance of all the waves. It is independent. It is supporting all the waves, but it is independent of all the waves, because it is much more than the waves. It is in and through the waves. Without it, the waves cannot exist. See, when here it is taking manifestation, it is manifestation and unmanifestation. Both are due to the self alone. Self is independent of that. The self is independent of the phenomena. The self is independent of the appearance. In the same way, the seer is the reality and the seen is meaningless. Taisa drashta drishyabdoho satsa ki dekhata thavo manavni drishyate bhavo te khile zarhi. Thus, the Sakshi Chaitanya, that is the witnessing consciousness, is the reality behind the seer and the seen. Therefore, the seen, even though experienced, is superfluous. In the phenomena of the seer and the seer is the reality, whether the reflection of the face is seen or not seen. In either case, no impact is made on the original face. Therefore, the reflection of the face in the mirror is superfluous. It has no purpose. In the same way, whether it was childhood, youth, or old age, nothing has happened to the real eye. Whether ocean manifests as a big breaker or a small ripple, it does not undergo any change because ocean is ocean. If ocean is ocean, self is self. Nothing has happened to the self because of these perceived changes from birth till now. Nothing will happen to the self because of birth or because of death. Nothing is going to happen. It is going to continue to be, and that you are. The immutable substratum which is supporting the plurality is not splintered into manyness. The plurality is so peculiar that although it appears abundantly, it is not the reality. That which appears as plurality is the reality. You ask the water, man, you look so beautiful with all the waves on you. Water or the ocean. Thank you for giving us such a beautiful vision of all the waves. Ocean will say, what are waves? I don't know. You say, thank you, O Lord Sun, for giving us the light and the brightness so that we can function during the day and removing the darkness also. The sun says, what will the sun say? What will the sun say? Tell.
I'm the light and there's nothing else.
Huh?
I'm the light and there's nothing else.
What do you say?
It's doing what it's naturally doing.
Radha, what do you say? Huh?
That is darkness.
What is darkness? What do you say?
What is darkness?
Not only what is darkness. It says, I don't know what is darkness, what you are talking about, and I don't know what is light also because I don't know what light is. How can you can know something, I can know you because you are separate to me, isn't it? Light is its nature. How can it come to know? It is. So it does not know what is light and what is darkness. The ocean does not know what are waves and breakers. Gold does not know what are ornaments. Mud does not know what are pots. Similarly, self does not know. From self's point of view, there is nothing called waker, dreamer and deep sleeper. From self's point of view, there is nothing called waking world, dream world and deep sleep world. It is all that there is. So wonderful. When it is said that nothing is unreal in this world, what is meant is that although there are differences, the differentiation on account of the differences is not the reality. Even though multiplicity is seen, differences. So many things are there in this room, it is seen, in the world it is seen. But the difference is on account of multiplicity. Here it is said, the differentiation on account of the differences is not the reality. Then what is the reality? That which is because of which this multiplicity is existing is the reality. That which is in and through all this is the reality. And what is in and through all this? It is very difficult right now. For this, again, you have to take that example which had come before. The whole world is existing in space. The whole space is existing in the mind, mental space. The whole mental space is existing in the conscious space. So really speaking, the entire experience, the entire scene as you can know it, it is pervaded by nothing but the conscious space. And you are that conscious space. Just like every wave is pervaded by the water, everything is pervaded by the conscious space. That is the reality. Don't take the names and forms to be the reality. Wave is not the reality. Wave is in appearance. Reality is the water. Name and form is the appearance. The self is the reality. Thus, in the relationship of seer-seen, the seer is independent of the seen, is the reality. I, the drashta, who is expressing as manyness in the form of husband, father, son, etc., is the reality. Although the many expressions are not apart from me. Any decision taken as a man will be valid, but decision taken as father, son, etc. are bound to be biased by the relativity. If one can maintain this pristine glory of oneself as the absolute person, then all the relative relationships will no more cause misery or bondage. The freedom to operate independently is the result of this vision of the absolute being that I is. So here again, how to conduct in your life so that it doesn't become a burden, so that you don't become a reactionary person. For everything you're precipitating into a conditional personality. Okay. Father, son, brother, sister, wife, etc. are conditional personalities. Why? The conditioning of the other is there, that's why you're calling yourself that, isn't it? So here, in spite of going through the various roles, if you can remain aware that these are merely roles which are coming and going, I am essentially the woman. Then on the seat of meditation, all these thoughts are coming and going. All these seers, thinkers are coming and going. But I am essentially, I am, the I is. This I has not become the seer, I has not become the knower, I has not become the... Don't become anything. Remain undisturbed, remain equanimous. Now doubt is raised. Because of this obsession with ignorance, it is evident from the above statement. So the doubt is because of ignorance. It is evident from the above statement that even if the seen is meaningless, it does exist as it can be experienced. Therefore, how can the ignorance or duality be denied? So the student is asking, because his attention is not on the truth, his attention is not on the I, his attention is on the thoughts. Ignorance is nothing but thoughts. He is trying to objective. Can any thought ever reveal the self? No. And we have used so many words in this book. Such a thick book. Thoughts cannot reveal the self. And the student is still caught up in thoughts. He is still caught up in ignorance. He is asking that what you said, that even if the scene is meaningless, it does not exist as it can be experienced. So if it does not exist, if scene does not exist, if wave does not exist, if the Triputi does not exist, if objectivity does not exist, then body, breath, mind, intellect don't exist. Space, air, fire, water, earth don't exist. The five senses don't exist. Then how can you discard them? They are product of ignorance. Then how can, if ignorance does not exist, how can you discard ignorance? If the waking world does not exist, how can you discard the waking world? If the dream world does not exist, how can you discard the dream world? If nothingness does not exist, absence does not exist, absence is emptiness. If nothingness itself denotes that there is nothing there, it does not exist, then how can you discard the nothingness? How can you discard the ignorance? This is the question. Very wonderful. Because you're thinking, but objectively. Therefore, how can the ignorance or duality be denied? Vavo kirahoya tarhi disate tava ahe yene bole hoye hathi aise. He says, the question is being explained. Even though really superfluous, it still can be seen, therefore the seen does exist. The ignorance does exist. Because the reflection is seen in the mirror. So reflection is. The wave is seen, the wave is. The light and dark is seen, the light and dark is. Even though from sun's point of view, light and dark, day and night is not there. From the water's point of view, wave is not there. See? But our obsession with the waking, that I see the reflection of my face in the mirror, the reflection is there. How can I deny it? When you talk about the seer and the seen, are you not accepting that the seen is seen by the seer? Therefore, there is a difference between the seer and the seen. That is, there is duality, and the cause for that duality is ignorance. The student is asking this question. So, are we not experiencing the duality as we go through the world? Yes, I understand that this duality is because of ignorance. Which means, conclusion is what? Ignorance is. That there is ignorance. The student is presenting his doubt. The reflection may be meaningless, but it does not exist. It is seen. Then how can the duality be denied? Such doubts persist when one gives importance to the reflection per se, instead of understanding that the reflection is referred to as an example to bring to one's cognition the original truth, which is the goal which one essentially is. This obsession with seen comes about, this obsession with ignorance comes about when we are obsessed with the world. But our goal is not to prove the world is. Our goal is not to prove the ignorance is. Our goal is to be the self. Because we see the world, that does not mean the world is real. Because we see the blueness of the sky, the blueness is not real. Because the snake is seen on the rope, the snake is not real. Because of the transaction of seer and seen, the seen is not the reality. Similarly, the world, although seen, is not real. It appears to be real because there is a seer. How beautifully Swamiji has put it. How many more examples do we need? Huh? How many? Because we see the blueness of the sky, the blueness is not real. Because we see the sunrise and sunset, the sunrise and sunset is not real. Because we see the mirage waters, the mirage waters are not real. Isn't it? Because we see the two moons when you press the eye, see the two moons are not real. Isn't it? Because we see a snake on a rope, the snake is not real. Similarly, because we see the world is not real. It's only an appearance. Then what is real? The self is the reality. And don't take the self only to be here. Self is the substratum of the entire. You are that. Don't think of yourself to be a minuscule self. My God, this whole universe is such a huge one, and I have to search for myself inside this body, inside this mind, inside this intellect, somewhere one dot, tiny mini dot I am. No, not that. Here it is Anvaya. Here the Lord is giving, the Jnaneshwar Maharaj is giving you a vision that you are that substratum of the entire world. Just like rope is the substratum of the snake, you are the substratum of the entire appearance. And what is the appearance? In one go, the waker, waking world, dream, dream world, deep sleeper, deep sleep world. Of this entire experience, you are the substratum. Without you, this is not going to be able to express itself. Then what is the problem right now? Giving too much reality and becoming obsessed with the waking world. That is the problem. With the people, with the relationships, with the possessions, with this body, with our hunger, etc., etc. So long as one keeps seeking sympathy and support for one's miseries, one will continue to suffer. As long as you keep seeking support for one's misery, for your miseries, and such people are attention seekers. Such people are attention seekers. They will only complain, oh, I got a headache, Swamiji. Can you touch my head? No. Miseries come and go, they are not the reality. The substratum, the self which is present in the presence as well as in the absence of miseries, should be the focus of our attention. Our attention is the misery, our attention is the pain, our attention is the loss, our attention is the loss of memory. Our attention is the invalidness of our body. Our attention is on this. And we, oh my God, if my mind does not function, how will I contemplate on the self? I will lose the plot. Arey Baba, whether the mind thinks or doesn't think, you are the self. Oh, if I don't have the body, how will I come to know? I hope I come to know that I am before I die. Arey, whether you die or you don't die does not matter to the self. It does not matter to the self. How can you say, die and find out? It does not matter. Does it matter to the waters or the oceans whether a wave is born or a wave dies? Does it matter to the gold whether an ornament is created or an ornament is destroyed? No. Come to ascertain you are that one who is undisturbed, unaffected, whether there is birth or death. How can you say that? Is this not real? Arey, whole life you have been accepting it unknowingly, but you don't want to accept when it is told to you. Every day the waker is born and the waker dies. Every day the dreamer is born, the dreamer dies. Every day the deep sleeper is born and the deep sleeper dies. You don't feel the misery that time? Only in the waking plane you want to become miserable. See the foolishness. See the foolishness. See the obsession with the waking.
We wake up from the dream, Swami, don't we?
Pardon me?
We wake up from the dream
Yeah.
and then we realize the dream.
That is one point. We are not even going into that.
No.
I'm giving you an even larger picture than just coming out of the dream. And the larger picture is when you take all the three together, that every day the waker, dreamer and deep sleeper are being born and they are dying. Do you feel the loss? Do you become afraid? Oh, today's waker is dying. Please, someone help. Someone help. Do you go around? Oh, the dreamer me is going away. I don't know how am I going to live? How am I going to survive? How am I going to, oh my God, everything that I knew in the dream is going to be taken away from me. Please, someone, bless me. I need to do some sadhana. I need to do some studies of scriptures to come to know who I am. Stupid. Do we do that? Then why are we doing that in the waking plane? Why are we thinking of ourselves as an incapable, dependent personality? See the connotation of it. You are that independent self, which is supporting everything, yet independent of everything. This is what Bhagavan says in, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, in the 9th chapter. He says, the entire world is in me. I am in the entire world. Then he says, neither the world is in me nor I am in the world. Yet I support the entire world and remain independent of the world. The ocean says, all the waves are in me, I am in all the waves. Then a higher standpoint. Neither I am in the waves are in me, nor I am in the waves. Why? Only water point of view is saying. Yet, I support the phenomena of the waves, but I remain independent of the phenomena. Is that not true about you? The self speaks. I am in the waker, dreamer, all the wakers, dreamers and deep sleepers are in me. I am in all the wakers, dreamers and deep sleepers. Second statement, neither the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper is in me, nor I am in them. Yet, I support the phenomena of all the waker, dreamers and deep sleepers, but I remain independent. Is that not your truth? Is that not your experience? Is it or not? Every day you are experiencing it. Even right now. Why every day? Right now also. You know, all the waker dreamers, without you they could not have come and gone. Have you lost any of you yourself with the loss of so many wakers, dreamers and deep sleepers from childhood till now? No. Then why this obsession in this waking world that, oh my God, I don't know what is going to happen, this, that. Don't sell yourself short to yourself. Understand, you are the substratum. Don't understand, be the substratum. Remain in that poise all the time. Let everything come and go. So long as one keeps seeking sympathy and support for one's miseries, one will continue to suffer. Miseries come and go, they are not the reality. The substratum, the self which is present in the presence as well as in the absence of miseries, should be the focus of attention. You should be aware of that. The doubt raised by the student is answered in the next OV. Tari anate देखो नि होय देखते तरी मानु ये ते देखिले एर ऐसे. If one is different from the other and sees the other, the transaction of seeing can be accepted. If the seen is independent of the seer, then it can be said that it is other than the seer. But it is not independent of the seer. Therefore, the seer-seen duality is not the reality. How the seen is not independent of the seer? I am asking a question. How is seen not independent of the seer?
There's no separation.
Yeah, but how? How we can make that statement? Because the seen is dependent on the seer. If the seer is not there, seen is not there. See? Is the teacher expression independent of the man? Is it? Is the teacher me independent of the man me? Is the waker independent of the self? Is the dreamer independent of the self? In the seer seen, is the seen independent of the seer? Is the observed independent of the observer? Cannot be.
Can't have one without the other.
Cannot have one without the other. And the seer, hearer, taster, experiencer, that is the conscious aspect. The I thought, see, aham vritti, idam vritti. That thought and the I thought. Can that thought exist independently of the I thought? Cannot. No, but then I thought will remain if there is no that thought. Try. If there is no that, I thought also vanishes. I remains. But the thought of I vanishes. This thought of I is taking the roles of seer, hearer, teacher, in respect to something. Can wave exist independently from the water or the ocean? Not possible. Can the ornament exist independent of the gold? Not possible. Similarly, the scene cannot exist independent of the seer. Therefore, the seer-seen duality is not the reality. Because it is not independent, therefore the one who is born, the fictitious entity which is coming up with respect to the seen, that is also not the reality. So is the father the reality? Is the teacher the reality? Is the son the reality? Is the knower the reality? Is the experiencer the reality? No. Experiencer is because of the experience. The man starts calling himself or behaving as a father because of a child. If there is no child, will there be a father? Father will die. Man will remain. If there is no scene, will there be a seer? No. Scene will die. But the self will remain. Where the seer and seen become, where are we? But it is not independent of the seer. Therefore, the seer-seen duality is not the reality. If the seer and seen are accepted to be different, then there will be a constant fear and anxiety with the seer. Then the seen may destroy it or it may get lost. The seer may also desire the seen, thus further strengthening the division between the seer and the seen. See, now here one thing is told. If the seer and seen are accepted to be different, means I am the seer, you are the seen. You are different to me. And this is how a common man goes through the world, isn't it? Then there will be constant fear and anxiety with the seer. Then if I am the father, there will be constant anxiety with regards to the child. If I am the husband, there is constant anxiety with regards to the wife. If I am the son, constant fear and anxiety with regards to mother. Go within. If I am the thinker, constant anxiety with regards to thinking. Why the thoughts are not coming? I don't know, man. I think I'm losing the plot. Isn't it? Do Sudoku. We want to increase our memory. And why is this anxiety? Because the scene should not get lost. You want to hold on to the scene. But the phenomena means that the scene will go away after. If scene has come up, it will also go away sometime. The fatherhood has come up, then it will go away. Then brotherhood will come, then it will go away. Sometimes we are the thinker, the seer, sometimes we are the hearer, sometimes we are the taster. We cannot continue to remain one all the time, isn't it? Continuously the scene is changing. Sometimes I am seeing her, sometimes I am seeing her, sometimes I am seeing him, sometimes seeing the camera, sometimes this, sometimes that, sometimes I am seeing my own thoughts. What is going on? Sometimes I am watching that the eyes are watching. Continuously this movement is going on involuntarily. See? But because of this involuntary movement, I lose the plot. If this whole movement stops, I feel, oh man, I think something has gone wrong. I think, oh my God, what is happening? Uh, I think the world is coming to an end. In the waking plane, this fear comes, isn't it? And yet, when you go to sleep at night, the whole world drops you. There's nothing to perceive. You don't feel the fear, you don't feel the anxiety. In fact, you got anxiety. Why am I not getting sleep? Why am I not going into zero? Zero mind. That anxiety is there, isn't it? For that also you take medicine. To think also you take medicine. When are you going to get out of it? To empty your mind you want medicine. To fill up your mind also you want medicine. See how foolish we are. The rule is, because you have got attached, because you have given overdue importance to the seen, therefore the fear is there. Your attention is on the seen, your attention should be on the self. Where the seer and seen become one, all the problems cease. So long as the son, the seen, is identified with the father, the seer-seen difference is minimal, and the seer loves the son as himself. But once the son's individuality asserts itself, the seer-seen difference widens. Self-explanatory. Otherness and love cannot coexist. Where there is minus, love is spontaneous, like the mother's love for the child. Therefore, on being established in Advaita Jnanam, that the seer, the substratum, is the supporter of the plurality, and that I am, thereafter the plurality makes no difference. Once only you have to come to this, that I am the supporter of the entire plurality, the entire duality, the entire universe. Where does the universe exist? Two places. I'm taking it in a different angle. What you're saying is correct. In the mind. Two places. One universe you experience in the waking world, and one universe you experience in the dream world. There also creation is there. There also stars, sun, moon, planets, everything is there. Isn't it? All this is supported by me alone. It is not existing outside of me. Then only love and compassion will be there. Then there will be no competition, there will be no comparison, there will be no fear, there will be no anxiety, there will be no guilt. The Atma never loses the absolute status, irrespective of whether it is alone, seeing or not seeing, one or many. This topic we will see in our next class. How wonderful! It's liberating. Just the disposition is required. Not too much thinking, just an acceptance that I am the support of everything. How is it possible? It will reveal.
Try not to complicate matters.
Exactly.
That's why we always interfere, don't we? Try to sort of
We
interpret
think too
things.
much.
Yes, we do.
If at all thinking is to be done, think in this manner.
Yeah.
Don't allow the mind to haphazardly think. It should be in a format. And this is the format. Otherwise, We think like this, but why? But why? I read that book also. I read this. All those fellows have come to know, and therefore they have written from their experience, and you are trying to work out what they have written. You go to the source. ॐ पूर्णमदा पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ